That's a big heart to match a big guy. From the Cobb County Police Department, Detective John Holland and Officer Alex Knappen. On December 7th last year, officers were dispatched to a burglary in progress on Regal Hills Lane in Mableton. While officers were en route to the location, dispatch advised that the ex-boyfriend of the victim was forcibly attempting to enter the residence where she was with her grandmother and 2 small children. The victim also advised that she had an active temporary protective order against the ex-boyfriend and that he was shooting into the residence. The caller advised that she and her family were going to hide in an upstairs bedroom and that she was armed with a taser. The suspect made entry into the home, whereupon he found the caller, her grandmother, and the children. Dispatch heard a lot of screaming as the victim and the suspect were fighting over the taser. Then the suspect held them at gunpoint and began giving orders. Upon arrival, officers Holland, Knappen, and Cooley made contact with the caller as she was attempting to exit through the front door. She appeared to be very badly beaten. She had been taken downstairs and knocked unconscious by her ex-boyfriend. The grandmother and the children were still being held in the upstairs bedroom, and the perpetrator indicated that he was going to kill them. The officers entered the home and announced themselves. The suspect released the grandmother and the children, but remained barricaded in the upstairs bedroom. The grandmother was bloodied and suffered broken bones in her face. Rather than holding the perimeter and waiting for SWAT to arrive, which I think is the standard response to a barricaded suspect, these officers, without regard for their own personal safety, made entry into the residence to confront an armed suspect with superior tactical position. Their swift and decisive action certainly saved the victims from further serious injury and possible death. Awardees.
I'm going to let him do most of the talking, but I'd like to thank the 300 Club. This really means a lot. It really means a lot to us. I appreciate it.
Detective Holland's normally about the loudest, most boisterous guy you'll meet, but in a room of a few hundred, he's very timid. So I'll do the talking. That was early in my shift. We both work evening shift, and I was actually on a call of a guy wanting to report his wallet stolen. This call went out, and I took off running from him and jumped in my car, drove there. We could hear screaming from the house when we pulled up, and everything that we had received was indicated that he was armed with a gun, and it sounded like he was in the process of trying to murder them. We entered the house, and we were going room by room clearing it, and that's when the ex-girlfriend with the temporary protective order, she came down, and all of her front teeth were knocked out. She was covered in blood, and she had a 2-year-old in her arms. And then we went through, and the hallway going upstairs was a 90-degree turn. So it was what we call a fatal funnel, basically, where if you were to go up, he would have had the angle on you. We announced ourselves, and we're about to make entry upstairs, and that's when the grandma came down. She actually had been stabbed 15 times, and she was holding a 6-month-old that was unconscious. The suspect had tasered a 6-month-old child. And then he ended up barricading himself in the room, and we were able to get them out, and they both luckily survived, but the grandma had to have pretty extensive surgery. So I'd like to thank Sergeant Easter he was the one that put us forward for this award. Officers every day are doing stuff out there that a lot of times doesn't get acknowledged, so it's definitely good that there's an organization like this. I also like to thank Chief Register for coming out as well. Thank you, guys.